Why is there already a trailer out for the update? I can't wait for this to be like some Audi Q series bullshit. Oh man, what a parting gift. Now the Group 1 category in Gran Turismo 7 has like 4 different subcategories now. The Group C cars have the crazy top speeds. The LMP cars are on rails and handle really nice. The VGT cars accelerate really quickly, and that's about it. But the hypercars are a bit of a different story. They're kind of the jack of all and the master of none. When you put a hypercar next to a VGT or a Group C, it's just better. The Group C does have a higher top speed than the hypercars by about 10 or 20 miles an hour. But the hypercars actually stop and turn and accelerate. And the VGT may blow the tiny little doors off the hypercars in terms of off-the-line acceleration and mid-speed acceleration, but the hypercar is gonna start pulling once you get to about 120 miles an hour. And then you get to the LMP cars, which is a classic case of hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby. This is to no one's surprise, as when they were designing the hypercar class, they were aiming to be 15 seconds slower around Le Mans than the LMP cars. And comparing qualifying records, it's down to 8 seconds, but that's still a pretty big chunk of time. All of the cars included in this update and the Toyota are Le Mans hypercar spec, so they're all WEC spec. IMSA doesn't actually allow four-wheel drive. So if you've ever wondered why Toyota, Ferrari, Peugeot, all the guys who make all-wheel drive hypercars don't appear in IMSA, that's why. IMSA doesn't allow electric power delivery to the front wheels. IMSA and WEC also have different rules of how much battery you can deploy. The max in IMSA is 50 kilowatts and the max in WEC is 200 kilowatts. There is one more difference between IMSA batteries and WEC batteries. First of all, IMSA can't deploy the battery any sooner than 120 kilometers an hour. As far as I can see, WEC doesn't actually have this limit. Well, they do, it's just not a hard limit set by the teams. It's set by the governing body and balanced performance. So it would seem that slower cars can deploy earlier than faster cars. Now, I did a little bit more research to try and find whether or not there's a ceiling, like a maximum speed that you can deploy the battery at. But as far as I can tell, neither series has this. As long as you're above the minimum speed, it would seem you can deploy the battery for as long as you want. The reason I'm pointing out this hybrid nonsense is because the battery in Gran Turismo 7 just simply doesn't deplete. It uses maybe 10% energy at most. And remember, all the hypercars in Gran Turismo are set to Le Mans hypercar standard, WEC standard. They use 4 times more power than IMSA cars. Now for this next segment, I wanted to see how much power the electric motors make in Gran Turismo 7. But since the energy capacity for hypercar batteries is apparently secret squirrel shit that not even the FIA knows, I can't do that. What I can do is tell you the minimum and maximum speed for deployment in each car, as well as how much battery it uses in one flat-out push. The Toyota was the first car I tested. The battery kicked on at about 125 Ks, kicked off about 240, and it only used 4% of the battery, and in the next braking zone completely refilled it. The Peugeot was next. It came on way later at 190, but it cut off only at 260, so that's like a 50 kilometer an hour shorter deployment cycle. But still, 4% battery use. Not only that, but also 4% battery regen. If we're only using 4% of the battery, what the hell is the point in a battery that big? Then it was the BMW's turn. This is the first rear-wheel drive car we're testing, so this car is IMSA eligible. And the minimum speed for the battery to come on is 125 Ks, which sounds pretty IMSA-y. And it goes all the way to 260. That's a pretty big chunk of speed. But still, that only uses 2% more battery. But even then, in this braking zone, it gets all of that back. These cars are making way more than they're using. Then I did the Porsche, which is the other rear-wheel drive car, and the power kicks on early again. Not quite as early as the BMW though, and we haven't seen a car kick on at 120, which seems like it should be the minimum limit. There is a bit of a pattern with the drive types using different amounts of battery. The rear-wheel drives use 2% more battery down this straight, and it seems like all of them besides the Toyota are topping out at 260, which makes a fair bit of sense because the Toyota is old. It's a 2021 spec, and I think the oldest of the new cars is 23. So that might be the answer to my question earlier of whether or not there's a ceiling. It could be 260 kilometers an hour, but something still seems off. The fact that we're only using 4 to 6% battery flat out, start to finish, and completely regenning it in one braking zone. I think either the battery isn't being deployed long enough, the cars aren't making 200 kilowatts of power right now, polyphony fucked up and gave the batteries way too much capacity, or energy management is no longer a factor in modern endurance racing because the batteries are so big and they use so little that it just doesn't even fucking matter. Any one of these could be true, and I can't tell you which one is because I did all the research I can and I couldn't figure it out. If you haven't noticed, this video is a little bit different. I'm not going to go over every single car in 3 stages. I'm just going to pick my favorite car for each stage and tell you why I like it over the others. When it comes to the cars that are bone stock and out of the box, those of you who know me well probably just fucking died from a heart attack because of how shocking that information was. But those of you who know me very well aren't surprised at all, because this BMW has the engine in the middle of the car, not the front, and that means that this car is my bitch. Thank you, BMW M1 Pro car. Without you, I would have killed myself a long time ago. I was about to jump off a bridge, but then you took me to the bridge circuit and race room, where I fucking died anyways. My next favorite's got to be the Ferrari. I felt really comfortable in this car, but I just didn't think it was as consistent nor as fast as the BMW. I could drive the BMW with my eyes closed, one hand on the wheel, and the other hand on a cold Arizona black and white iced tea. But the Ferrari, I had to at least open my eyes, put both hands on the wheel, and drive it like a race car. It will both oversteer and understeer, but it's not a fault of the car, it's just kind of tedious to drive. There are 2 things that this car really needs to be praised for. Number 1 is its brakes. These things stop on a dime, and they're not hard to trust either. Trail braking in this car has plenty of wiggle room, and while you'll still slow down if you don't get it right, you won't go off the track. If somehow the BMW doesn't tickle your fancy, you might want to spend a couple hours learning the 499p, maybe that'll satisfy you. The other thing that needs praising, and I've seen some controversy with this, so take this with a grain of salt, is in my opinion, the sound design. Now in terms of volume, this is easily the loudest hypercar, no contest. The engine is super raspy, and it clearly has been modeled off the version with no mufflers. The gearbox is also loud, and so is the hybrid system. You can hear it when it kicks on, when it turns off, through the downshifts, through regen. It's pretty loud. You can hear exactly what's going on with the powertrain of this car. It's pretty interesting. Have a listen. This car does have one major flaw, however, and it's in the livery editor. You see, the other 3 hypercars you can paint on the side windows, but unfortunately the Ferrari does not allow for funny moments like this.
Oh no, it appears I'm about to run out of petrol. Quickly, I need to driver swap and change my fuel and tires. Driver swap beginning now.
They really just don't know how to have fun in Maranello, do they? I don't even think they know the meaning of the word. What a bunch of hard asses. Now this car just fucking sucks. Surprisingly, I actually like the Peugeot more than the Porsche, but not by very much. You see, the Peugeot makes you feel like you're an idiot savant. It makes you feel like you don't know how to fucking drive a race car, but the car is good enough to get you around the track. It's not. It's just fucking stupid to drive. It's really hard to communicate to you why this car makes you feel like you fucking suck or you're fucking stupid. Just go to a racetrack, drive the car, and tell me if you're satisfied with any of the laps you put down. And don't compare it to anything else. I'm not saying it's slow or hard to drive or anything like that. I'm saying you could go on the track, you could hit every apex, you could stay on the track the whole time, you could push the car as hard as you can, and you'll get out of the car and your intuition will say, holy shit, I am 12 minutes off the pace. It doesn't matter how fast you are in reality or how well you drive the car, it's just so fucking unsatisfying to drive. It also has a little bit of Ferrari F14T DNA in it or something, because it does that weird oversteering while also understeering thing. And I'm not gonna lie, I really don't fucking like the Porsche. I really wanted to. I expected it to be my second favorite, with the Ferrari being my absolute favorite. But I fucking hate this car, bro. The head of Porsche Motorsport just fucking walked into their office and said, hey, should we make our car more oversteery or understeery? And the other guy just fucking said yes. Like, it drives like shit. I really just don't have anything more to say about it. I just didn't like it, and I thought it sucked in just about every aspect it can suck. Apart from the fact that it was, well, you know, a second faster than all the other hypercars. The really interesting thing about the BOP on these cars is that they don't have any BOP. The only car that gets modified is the BMW, and it gets a power boost. All the other cars are literally the exact same. That's pretty fucking weird. How does the BMW drive with this extra power? It still feels great. It still feels the best. Unfortunately, the Porsche is still faster. I'll never understand why. And you know what? I've done enough goddamn testing for this video, so I'm not even gonna bother trying to figure it out. I cannot deny that I'm so fucking sick of every single car that I actually like to drive being the slowest in the category. The F-Type Group 4 just wants to blow its tires off for some reason. The 650S and the McLaren F1 are both really slow. The GT500 RCF is probably the slowest GT500 car. And my favorite Group 1 is probably the R18 or the 919, which I don't think those are the two slowest. These cars do get turbos, and when you give them the turbo, you get about 1,000 horsepower. This pretty much completely fucks everything up. I think the best car with the turbos and tuning is the Ferrari, but if it wasn't a question of the extra power, I think the Porsche or the BMW would probably be better overall. Like, you put more rear wing on to stabilize the car, and you try and get the aero balance back to where it feels the same and it just goes faster, but that just doesn't happen. You either spin or you understeer, and there's no in between. The Ferrari gets the closest to there being an in-between. It's also got those really badass brakes that I mentioned earlier, which when you're going 220 miles an hour into a corner that you need to get down to second gear for, it's pretty handy. It feels pretty damn good. I still like the BMW more than the Porsche, but the Porsche starts to shine a little bit under tuning. The BMW feels about the same that it did when it was stock and under BOP. It is more understeery, but not by a huge amount. Definitely a noticeable amount, and enough to make you upset at the car. I never got like sent off the track or anything though, so it wasn't that bad. And the Porsche is just more of the same but faster and leaning a little bit more to the understeery side of the table, especially in the low speed stuff where there's not as much air going over the car. These things really struggle with mechanical grip, I think. The Peugeot is a really weird case because it goes from being the worst fucking race car I've ever driven to being okay in the span of about a quarter of a lap. Is it exceptionally bad? No, but it's definitely my least favorite. It sounds like it's from Gran Turismo 5. It has some crazy vacuum cleaner engine sound. And also the hood cam or the roof cam or whatever it's technically called on this car looks fucking hilarious, and I just had to drive it in this view. It's not a complete pile of dog shit though. Like, it's okay. It's just like super left out though. It's that guy sitting in the corner at the party. You want to be a sweat and you don't care about your playing experience? Okay, drive the 963. You want to drive the car that feels the best? Well, hell, get in the fucking BMW. Oh, this random guy from fucking Cyprus has tuning enabled in this lobby? Okay, hop in the Ferrari. You want to waste your time and not fucking get anywhere? Drive the Peugeot. Like, why pick this? Unless you're French and you really like Peugeot for some reason, it's not a good option. Did you know that there's actually more going on in this update than the hypercars? There's this new Porsche that's actually not new, it just has really fancy lights on it. Some people, I guess, like got a lobotomy before the update came out and decided that this was actually a 911 GT3 RS and should handle like a Formula 1 car. That's actually not the case. The reason you may think that this car drives bad is because it's on street tires. It weighs 3,600 pounds. It's all-wheel drive. It has some pretty subtle aero going on. It's not a fucking race car, dude.
why do you expect it to handle good out of the box? I honestly think it handles pretty fucking good considering how much it weighs, but everyone and their grandma is complaining about it on fucking Facebook. Now, I like the Turbo S because it's a pretty unique feel in Gran Turismo 7. It still has that Porsche rear-engine driving style, but the extra stability of a four-wheel drive car. Plus, it makes a fuck ton of power, and it has 8 gears for some reason. I've driven it a lot, but I've never fully modified it before, so I was expecting a pretty terrible driving experience. That's not what I got. This is one of the most solid feeling, fully upgraded road cars in the game. The Turbo S is just a really good car in all honesty. I mean, you can put it in any PP bracket, and it'll still be pretty competitive. It's a really solid platform. I don't really think safety cars are that cool, but I guess having a WEC-themed safety car in the WEC-themed update is okay. It gave me an excuse to try the car fully upgraded, and I thought that was pretty cool. But beyond that, I mean, it's just the same car with some lights, so if you wanted lights on it, there you go. There's really nothing more to say. Some of the engine swaps they put in this update are pretty cool, though. Others are, not pretty cool. The first two are both Audi TTs that get the 5-cylinder from the Quattro S1. The first generation TT felt pretty solid, maybe a little bit understeery, but they're Audi Quattros, so you can't really do very much about that. It's pretty oversteery on the brakes, but there's plenty of ways to rectify this, and all of them work pretty good. You can either tune them out, change up your driving style, or use it to your advantage. You know, all three of those work great for this car. It's pretty solid. I had a lot of fun driving it. And it's just a pretty good idea for a swap too. I don't think the first generation TTs ever got a 5-cylinder. I think, at least when it comes to the road cars, the coolest engine you could get was the 3.2 V6. It's a good swap. I like it. You can keep it stock, you can turbo it, you can turn it down. I'm sure the car will drive fine in all those scenarios. Surprisingly, the second generation is actually pretty different. The setup needs a lot more attention than the first generation car did. First of all, it's rubbing out of the box, so you have to raise the car. I got to about 125 millimeters at the front and was happy with that. It also understeers more than the first generation. There's less oversteer on braking, and I find that really interesting because the aero balance is further forward than it was on the first generation on this car. Again, you can pretty much tune every problem you can run across out of the car except for the understeer. It's an Audi with Quattro. It just does that. If you like Audis with Quattro, this isn't anything new to you. But I think this swap for both of the TTs is a pretty good one, and I'm glad I have them in my garage for me to never use. The next car, not so much, because it gets the VR38. Yeah, it's pretty stinky. You know what's not stinky though? These stats. What the fuck is going on over here? I haven't got anything set up weird. It drives normally. Power graph looks okay. Gearbox. Okay, well, the game is convinced that the car doesn't have a gearbox for some reason, but it does, and it works perfectly fine, so what kind of crack it's been smoking today, I have no idea. But yeah, it drives like your typical VR38 swap, really fucking annoying, and I don't like it. Although the understeery nature of the Espace F1 does help a little bit. I still don't know what makes this 1000 horsepower racing minivan on slick tires 600 pp. It seems like it's a lot fucking faster than that. The next car had another stinky VR38 in it. It was the Escudo. This car doesn't have any headlights. In fact, I painted on some headlights. So I did a custom race at night because I thought it would be funny. And holy shit, funny it was. This car is ridiculously undrivable. Not only was this thing undrivable, apparently a few of the cars I gave to the AI were also undrivable because they were fucking crashing everywhere. It was hilarious. Every single time this thing wanted to just twitch itself into the fucking wall at 1,000,000 miles an hour, I was laughing my ass off. I totally understand how the AI crashed it while I was filming for the Peugeot. And now it ends where it all began. A Toyota SUV. The amount of time that needs to go into the setup for this thing to even function remotely is absurd. This bitch is 200 millimeters in the air, has a fuck ton of camber, and is as stiff as possible. And still, the front wheels be rubbing. Literally, how the fuck is that even possible? At least with this setup, it's not like it's hard to drive or anything. It doesn't try and kill you under braking or anything like that. It's just so ridiculous looking to have this stiff car with a boatload of camber be this jacked up in the air. It looks like a shit post. It looks like a shit post on wheels. Who am I kidding? It is a shit post on wheels. My favorite part is that it doesn't care that it's brick shaped. 1200 horsepower, I guess, is just enough to where it can throw physics out the window and hit fucking 250 miles an hour. What in the world, bro? And I believe that's it. That's a lot of time spent on 5 cars and 5 engine swaps. I really think that's everything, but I just can't shake the feeling that I'm missing something. I just can't think of what I could be possibly forgetting. Boy, oh boy, that sure is a lot of social media hype for something that's not in the game. Are they actually gonna add this fat, long son of a bitch to Gran Turismo? How the fuck are they even gonna do that? It's not even a circuit, it's a goddamn point to point. Ah!